Hello everyone, welcome back to Shadow of Mordor. For this episode we're going to run through some of the lore entries here. We will start with the people. You know what I will start with, actually, let's go with these Morgai flies. I never actually knew what they do. With Mordor's predilection for unburied corpses, Morgai flies have become a mainstay. Their nests can be found hanging everywhere there might be flesh, and any disturbance sends the insects into a frenzy. When this happens, the malevolent creatures swarm, working in concert with one another, creating a relentless, stinging mass powerful enough to overwhelm even armor-clad Uruk. The red markings on their backs are reminiscent of the blazing eye of Sauron, and these creatures are extensions of his dark spirit? I never knew that. Let's go with the Caragor. The common Caragor is vicious, disgusting, and a relentless killing machine. It is native to Mordor and the realm's top predator. Their powerful legs make them excellent sprinters and fair climbers. Their jaws are powerful enough to snap through bones and cut through all manner of armor. They attack and kill all or any competing predators, such as wargs on sight, which I guess is why there's no wargs in Mordor. Orcs have begun to capture and cage these animals, although their attempts to domesticate them as cavalry mounts have been largely unsuccessful. The Caragor has proven remarkably stubborn and resistant to training. Not if you can take over their minds. What is this? A monster of this strength and size can, without reservation, be referred to as a great beast. A distant cousin to the Mumakil, these enormous quadrupeds can grow to 35 feet tall and make unrivaled beasts of burden for the Dark Lord's armies. They are powerful enough that no creature except perhaps for a Graug or a huge Caragor pack can hope to bring them down. In the coming war, they will prove invaluable to the Dark Lord's growing armies as both transport and a weapon. That's not in the game. Unless that's some kind of special event or something. Don't care about plant life. Okay. Let's go through the people, I guess. What is a Talion? A Gondorian ranger, Talion was slaughtered on the Black Gate along with his wife, was it Uruk? And his son, Durhail. Talion did not find peace in death, however. He was cursed and resurrected by a powerful wraith who had possessed his body and reforged him as an undying spirit of vengeance. Talion's swordsmanship, speed, resistance, and training have all been augmented by the wraith's presence within him, as though he himself possessed the power of one of the great rings. Ah, okay. He can view the unseen world, lay his hands on his foes, and exploit their fears or dominate their wills, making him a monster to the monsters. Talion is bound to Mordor, doomed to reside there until he can destroy the Black Captains who murdered his family and face the Dark Lord who commands them. Yeah, so he cannot leave. Hiragon. Hiragon of Tarnost was a ranger stationed on the Black Gate. Hiragon served the guard faithfully, but fell in love with an outcast woman, Erin, and deserted, risking execution for leaving his post. Love prevailed. The two were married, and Hiragon lived among the outcasts, people who feared and hated his kind. When the Uruks invaded Udun, Hiragon's skills proved invaluable, and the outcast often deferred to his experience. He was unable to stop his beloved wife from being captured by the Uruks, and seeks desperately to rescue her. That should be updated to rescued. Erin. Erin sang to the prisoners in lockup. She tended to their needs and fed them. Her father was the constable, a cold and hard man who served a rough justice. Her kindness softened many hard tempers, and she kept the peace as well as, or perhaps even better, than her father. Her fine singing attracted the attention of the ranger Hiragon, and the two fell in love. Outcasts and rangers distrusted each other, and sometimes killed one another. Erin married her ranger, and her pleasant nature overcame the scorn she received from her people. When Erin was captured by the Uruks, Hiragon was crushed, and Erin, even in captivity, knew her love would save her. The only backstory we will get to Erin is that I didn't even know she was a singer. Eoreth. Eoreth was Talion's wife, Durhail's mother, and Halas's daughter. She was born and raised in Minas Tirith, where her father was a guard of the Citadel. When she was 19, she and Talion fled Gondor together to build a new life on the frontier of the kingdom. She was killed along with her family by the Black Hand when Sauron returned to Mordor. Durhail. Durhail was Talion's and Eoreth's son, born and raised on the Black Gate. Durhail wanted nothing more than to be a ranger like his father and his grandfather before him. It was not to be. He was killed along with his parents by the Black Hand. Yeah, the Black Hand kind of did a lot of bad things that night. Alright, the Rangers of the Black Gate. Never really even saw another Ranger. Like, the only time you ever see Rangers is in that very opening scene in the tutorial where you kind of see them in the... whatever that hall. Gondor controlled the Black Gate for over 2 millennia after Sauron's defeat, with the Rangers keeping watch over Mordor. The Rangers supervised the building of the Towers of the Teeth, standing guard over the Gondorian prisoners who would later escape into Undun and settle there. Over the centuries, the Rangers suffered greatly, their numbers whittled down by a great plague and an invasion by the Easterlings. Eventually, a small but hardened crew stood to man the watch, a brave few who were quickly overwhelmed when Sauron returned. Yeah. Huh. Wraiths. There are many restless spirits within Middle-earth who have not been able to find peace in death. Wights, wraiths, and ghosts of terror, Sauron the Necromancer calls to them all within the borders of Mordor. Should he rebuild his power and be able to command this lost army of the dead, he will be unstoppable. Let's hope that never happens, huh? Uruk's the Great Orcs. Okay. Take a drink here. The Uruk is the elite of all the orc breeds. I guess that's why they're not called just orc. They are grown in huge vats as a leadership caste and are taller, stronger, better able to withstand daylight, and more ill-tempered than the lesser orcs. They are captains and commanders, bred for war and determined to take back their homeland for the Dark Lord Sauron. They impose their will with brute force. They hate beautiful things, will not admit to any fears, revel in slaughter, and enslave any who stand in their path. They are certain their Dark Lord has returned to lead them to their destiny as the rulers of Middle-earth. So you have the Uruks, and then is the Urukai in here? Because I would like to know... I don't think they are. So like the Urukai are the great orcs, then? Oh, we all know who Gollum is. Ratbag, oh man. Ratbag the Uruk craves power without knowing what he would do with it. He cannot heft a heavy weapon over his head, but he will, stupidly perhaps, attempt to claw his way to the top of Sauron's army by aligning with his people's great enemy, the Gravewalker. He has deluded himself into believing the Ranger will help him become a war chief, and, once he has power, he will be able to keep all he has achieved. His many scars bear witness to his ineptitude and history of failure. He is a craven little thing whose only chance of success is in spite of himself. Aw, poor Ratbag. Uruk captains oversee Sauron's army. They enforce construction and demolition projects, craft battle plans, and administer discipline to their underlings. The Uruk hierarchy is combative. Captains win their place by slaughtering those above them, and keep power by destroying underlings who might oppose them. This ensures endless competition among the Uruks, and winning the rank of captain means an Uruk is one of the strongest, deadliest, and most devious of their kind. As a measure of their status, captains often carry the best weapons and armor pried from the corpses of the foes they have killed, and bear the scars from the battles they have fought. Then you got the War Chief. Uruk War Chiefs are the elite. They kill their way to the top and defend their position with absolute ferocity. They gather a squad of bodyguards to serve under them and protect them from the constant threats to their authority and their lives. These bodyguards are loyal as long as they fear their master and will defend him, but the War Chief is always on guard against the knife in the back. As such, War Chiefs generally avoid being seen and only emerge after being drawn out into combat by a powerful foe. To refuse combat from such a foe would be a sign of weakness and spell doom for a War Chief. Indeed. Sawbones? Sawbones. As with elves, Uruks excel at war, do not seem to age or sicken, and rarely die naturally. But when they do need healing, they call for the Sawbones. These Uruks are imbued with a basic knowledge of herb lore and anatomy, allowing them to perform rudimentary medical treatment, which generally involves some form of amputation. Given their propensity for hacking meat, they often moonlight as cooks, and brew the putrid and flammable orc grog that keeps the orc army on its feet. Interesting. Their doctors are called Sawbones. Executioners. Brutal executioners serve to keep Uruk society from crumbling into an endless spiral of revenge, murder, and slaughter for slaughter's sake. The Uruks have few rules and fewer punishments to enforce their bloody sense of order. When the executioner is called to settle a dispute, heads roll, and the matter is concluded. In Mordor, the executioners have expanded roles to include the punishing of unruly creatures and slaves. They excel in administering discipline, and their lessons never need repeating. I would imagine not. Labor moves Mordor, and the slavers move the labor. They are the ones who process captured humans and dispatch their chattel to sites across Mordor via the Black Road. The Uruks realize slave labor has freed them to focus on forging the Dark Lord's great war machine and are looking beyond Mordor for more captives. There are whispers they are being aided on this front by a mysterious figure, a dwarf of the coin. I'm assuming that's a reference to something in the expanded, or in the universe of Lord of the Rings? Like this, what is that called? The Silmarillion, something like that? I've never heard the dwarf of the coin. Beastmasters are spawned for the job no Uruk would rightly volunteer for, taming and slaughtering the wild beast of Mordor. They are ideal for their dual role as hunter and killer. Mordor is a place of wild beasts requiring domination. Beastmasters track and capture the creatures required to service the Dark Lord's army, and they exterminate the monsters that might impede his progress. They're the ones who trap Caragors and pin them, or bring down the enormous great beasts to be used as cargo carriers. Beastmasters also clear campsites and outposts, destroying the native ghouls, ungul, and rats so as to make the sites usable for their brethren. Wow, that's a rough task. Ah, Torvin. The dwarf hunter Torvin enjoys stretching a tail to his breaking point and hunting. He and his brother, Gorvin, left their home in the Orokarni to stalk Middle-earth's greatest prey. The trophies back up some, but not all, of Torvin's magnificent stories. He's often spoken with reverence of an epic brawl with the Mumakil and the many Ungul that have died by his battle-worn hands. Now, Torvin has come to Mordor alone, seeking to bring down the mythical Great White Graug. He is fated, however, to meet the Ranger. He will teach his new ally how to strike terror into the hearts of the enemies by mastering Nirn's deadly beast. I kind of wish there was a entry on the character before you meet him, and then an entry after. Like, what happens after you met him. Lithariel. Lithariel is the daughter of Lady Marwen, Queen of the Shore. As an infant, she was the only survivor of a trading ship which fell prey to the raids of the tribesmen. Queen Marwen adopted the infant as a daughter, and she is now the first in line for the throne. No one questions Lithariel's authority. She grew up quickly among the tribesmen and has taken their values as her own. A tough warrior, she is resourceful and honorable to a fault. She has never surrendered in a battle, even when it cost those following her their lives. Eek. Ah yes, the Outcasts. The Outcasts are descendants of escaped Gondorian prisoners. Their forefathers built the Towers of the Teeth on the Black Gate many centuries ago. Their escape into Undun allowed them to create new lives for themselves. Even if the land was harsh and unforgiving, they were free. Now, Sauron and the Uruks have returned, and there is no freedom to be found within the Land of Shadow. Tribesmen. The tribesmen are descended from corsairs who settled the Sea of Nirn following Gondor's retreat hundreds of years before. As time passed, they gave up raiding and settled down to fish the sea and farm the land. However, they never gave up their warrior traditions, and when the Uruks came, the people of Nirn were able to put up a fierce resistance. That's cool. What up, Nirn warriors? Well, slaves, that's kind of self-explanatory, but... The Uruks are building Sauron's war machine on the backs of conquered and enslaved humans. A burgeoning slave trade exists throughout Mordor, with newly captured slaves sent to Tharband, and then shipped out via great beasts. Throughout Mordor, slaves are working in foundries and mills, growing food for the Uruks, and suffering on poles as object lessons in obedience. A slave's life consists of toil and beatings. This is a new Mordor, and human slaves are making it a reality. But the Gravewalker has brought a small glimmer of hope back into their lives. Celebrimbor. A shining light of the elves of the Second Age of Middle-earth, Celebrimbor was Lord of Eregion and the greatest elven smith to be found in the mortal lands. He was strong, fearless, proud, and unforgiving. But his pride was his undoing, and the undoing of his kingdom. He was seduced by Sauron in fair guise, and side by side they forged the rings of power. 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die. In secret, Sauron forged the One Ring, the Master Ring, to control all others. What up, Marwyn? Marwyn, daughter of Andrahil, is the queen of the tribesmen of Nurnin. In her youth, she dreamed of restoring the Corsair traditions of her people. Leading raiding parties as far south as Harad, she was a fierce warrior, and her crew regarded her with awe. After she adopted the infant Lithariel, she settled down to lead her people wisely. Recently, she became haunted by nightmares of the Tower of Sauron torturing her people. Seeking counsel, she turned increasingly to rituals and spent many hours in her room staring into the flames. In them, she heard a wise voice counseling her to seek out the Ringmaker. Only his power could save Nirn. A wise voice. Saruman. Ah yes, the hammer. The hammer was once a man, a stretcher-bearer for Gondor dedicated to retrieving the wounded. His life changed on the slopes of Mount Doom when he retrieved Sauron's mace after the Dark Lord fell. When he took up the weapon of Sauron, he realized that his life had been wasted in saving others who sought glory in war. If men wished to die gloriously in battle, he would grant their wish with pleasure. He became doomed to a bloodlust that would never be sated. He has waited millennia for the Dark Lord's return to Mordor, and now his purpose has been revealed to him. Oh. Wow, so this guy is pretty old. And I killed him pretty easily. Ah, the tower. He was pretty cool. As the tower's evil has grown, so has his stature. He is trapped inside armor that will not grow with him, and his agony is exquisite. Oh, man. So that's why his mouth is like that? Because, like, the armor is peeled back? Aw. Alright. He was once a Númenórean, and as he can recall, he either built a tower or was locked inside one. His appearance is horrific. To stand near him is to feel the revulsion he feels for himself. Even his fellow captains despise the tower, although they have come to rely on his great corrupting evil. His propensity for slaughter is unmatched. He makes his victims feel his pain, and he revels in it. Okay. That's... Ugh. Yeah, the Black Hand. The Black Hand is the greatest and the most feared of the Black Captains. His mere presence on the battlefield spreads terror among his foes and servants alike. Some say he was once a great king from the east who brought Sauron the heads of 2 Istari as gifts. Really? Others say that he returned across the seas with Sauron after the fall of Númenor. Still, others claim that he is the Dark Lord himself, once again taking fair form within Mordor. There are many stories of his origins. All of them are lies. The only things which are certain are that he is the Master of Deceit, and that he serves this Dark Lord with absolute loyalty. Yeah, to the point of slitting his throat. Alright, so the Talons of the Black Hand. These are the people I fought at the end of the game. The Talons are the elite personal guard of the Black Hand of Sauron. The Black Hand was schooled in sorcerous arts at the side of the Necromancer, and he personally draws forth the Talons from their spawning vats at Barad-dûr. They are tested in battle immediately after they are dragged, screaming into a world of anger, hatred, and fury. There are always 5 Talons, and whenever one falls in battle, his body is returned to the vats where his death can feed the creation of his successor. If his corpse cannot be successfully carried back to Barad-dûr, then the remaining Talons are sacrificed in his stead. Holy crap. That's pretty hardcore. The Nazgûl were once Sauron's greatest servants. With their defeat by the White Council at Dol Guldur, the Black Captains have stepped in to fill the void. These are men of great evil, clad in black, and doomed to undying service. Their purpose is to dominate Mordor. Sauron's power is spent, and he has retreated to the ruins of Barad-dûr to reforge his might for the great war to come. Their original names are lost. Now each one of the three is an aspect of the Dark Lord's great evil. The hammer is Sauron's might in battle made flesh, the tower is his malice incarnate, and their leader, the Black Hand, is the master of lies. From the moment of its creation, the One Ring was a blazing beacon of unveiled power. The instant it was upon the finger of the Dark Lord, all of the wise became aware of Sauron's treachery, and there was war. Sauron's armies took Eregion, and he dragged Celebrimbor back to Mordor. The Elf Lord was forced to apply all his art and all he had learned at the side of the Necromancer to mask the blinding power of the One with subtlety. His role in bringing such evil to Middle-earth doomed the spirit of Celebrimbor to remain in Mordor until such time as he can confront his nemesis and find redemption. Ah, poor Celebrimbor. Sauron. The Dark Lord Sauron claims Middle-earth as his rightful dominion. Only he has the power to bring order and halt the steady decline of this world since it was abandoned by the Valar. To preserve the world, he convinced the Elf Lord Celebrimbor to work with him on the Rings of Power before forging the One Ring as master of all the others. He was betrayed when Celebrimbor forged 3 elven rings in secret. In his rage, he dragged Celebrimbor back to Mordor to make him reveal the location of these 3, and to perfect the one, only to be betrayed again. Recently, he has been defeated by the White Council in Dol Guldur and driven back to Mordor, but he is determined that this shall be his final defeat. From here in Mordor, he will reforge his strength and conquer Middle-earth, for there are none with the power to oppose him. Well, I don't know. I mean, there was that QuickTime event that was pretty... What? There's a person I don't know about? How is this possible? How is this possible, I ask you? How many are there here? Wow. Alright, well, we'll get to this lore section in another episode. So thanks for watching, everybody. That was the people section and some of the nature. And again, we'll get to hear it next time. What's over here? Oh, tutorials and all the visions. Okay. So thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you all next time. Take care.